From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Yeah, everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of amazing ideas and stunning digital marketing. In this show, I have my co-host, Bridget Willard, with me. And in our marketing segment, we talked about how to learn from your customer support ticket or feedback. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I'm here with my good friend, Miss Bridget Willard. Hey Bridget, how you doing today, sweetie?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
Doing good today. It's a little dark in here, but God forbid I didn't have the overhead lights on because it's dark and ugly outside. We actually woke up to white stuff this morning and now it's gone. Does that tell you?
Yeah, spring is kind of mean that way.
Yeah. Well, spring in Toronto is in
Spring in
Canada
general, like here. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
remember
right.
Wisconsin. We'd be like, oh yeah, it's March. 2 days later, it's a blizzard.
Yeah. We can get snow as late as Easter weekend, so and that's like a couple weeks away, so no surprise here.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we were going to talk about using support tickets or customer feedback as part of your marketing. So go ahead. What do you want to start?
So I'm like a big believer in prevention, and that's
Yep.
that's kind of my angle toward it. So like when I was a secretary, if we made our alphabetized files, if we had a vendor, for example, that was an M, but we didn't use them very often, they would go an M miscellaneous, right? But
Mm,
anytime we use that vendor, like M&M contracting or something like that, right? Then that was kind of the rule of thumb, right? If you had three of those same invoices from that vendor, you would make a file for it. It would be its own file instead of M miscellaneous.
yep.
And so when I was in collections, I did the same thing. Like I would try to prevent those invoices from becoming 90 days
Yep.
by implementing strategies that would make payment much easier, like billing the correct person in the first place. You would not believe, Rob, in roofing, how often that was the problem. So once
Yep.
you put the support ticket in roofing is a leak request. Once you put that incorrectly the first time, when you invoice them that week, they're going to pay it, right?
Mhm.
So actually, at that time, it's one of the highlights of my career is having um, only 4.5% of the receivables over 90 days, which was really great because,
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, because our deal with our vendors, with our suppliers, was 60 days, 2% discount.
Hmm.
So they loved me there. But so like I'm always in that kind of frame of mind. When I was a Sunday school teacher, we made a song out of the rules. Like let's just make this and eat, let's like put this all up front so we prevent disruption, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's how I feel about support tickets. Because as like plug-in companies and agencies grow, they're always going to have this kind of growing pain, right? Of
Hmm.
we're getting more plugin sales, like when I was with Give WP. We're getting more plugin sales, but that also means we're getting more support.
Yep.
And actually, Matt Cromwell came up with a really good formula of what is the support ticket to sales ratio where you need to hire another support person.
Yep.
And I'm sure he has that still on the web. So if
On
anyone's
my,
listening and they know that, go look for Matt
yeah.
Cromwell's support ticket ratio. But like, so that's my frame of mind for this conversation.
What,
Preventing a problem.
yeah. What I would tell you is the problem is most companies and having run my own agency for many, many years, and worked in healthcare for 21 years and being a team leader for a call center, they treat call centers as an expense. And I think that's a mistake. We need to start treating them as expenses and treating those support tickets as investments in your business. If your customers weren't invested in you, they would not be putting those in. And that's a big deal too.
Yeah, so that's a really great point. So I find that in marketing, we use accounting terms
Yeah.
inappropriately. How about that? So an expense is anything that your business does that you're not going to get anything back on. And
Mhm.
an investment is like you put money in a CD, you're going to get money back in 90 days with interest.
Yep.
So, but in marketing, we say, oh, we should have a return on investment, which is impossible because from an accounting standpoint, marketing is an expense from an accounting standpoint. And
Mhm.
so this is always the struggle with marketing versus sales,
Yep.
because sales is one of the last touches before revenue hits a bank. And so the
Yep.
viewpoint from the C-suite or from a small business owner is the sales is the most important. And then the marketing is like, what have you guys even been doing? And we're
Yep.
sitting over here going, we just handed you that lead. Well, can you prove it? No, it was everything we've been doing the last 18 months. Well,
Mhm.
then let's just cut marketing and get the AI to do it.
And one of the problems is marketing departments, sales departments, and in bigger companies, IT departments, I can almost tell you, are never on the same playing field. And it's a
It,
problem
it's a
because
big problem.
in a big company, IT often sets what you can do online and what you can't do online, and how that changes the marketing and sales department's function, or the PR department even more so. And I've been down that road, and it's awful. Your PR department, for example, launches a YouTube channel, which is really marketing. PR is a form of marketing. I don't care what anybody says. And then the IT department says, wait a minute here. We banned YouTube internally for anybody to go out and watch. And so the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand. And sales is even worse because sales does never talks to the marketing department. And they're wondering why the two of them are out of sync in a big way.
And I call this the step parent syndrome
Yep.
because the C-suite or the boss, I'm just going to say C-suite, the C-suite
Sure.
has paired these two children against each other instead of having them cooperate, which makes total sense, where sales is the front end and marketing is the back end. I would
Hmm.
consider myself an excellent marketer. I'm okay at sales because I'm
Yep.
not going to talk you into something that you don't want to do. You don't want my services. You don't want to buy this car. You don't want this jewelry. That's fine. Maybe it's not the right thing for you. That's fine.
Hmm.
Like, even when I was at TJ Maxx, oh, you don't want the credit card? That's fine. I'm not going to push against the
Yep.
no. That's not my personality. But I'll tell you that I like the credit card because da 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 da, right? So
Yep.
it's like, it's kind of a mix. Sometimes it's your personality, but I think the big war is because sales has an easier time of proving why they should be there. Whereas marketing seems like, well, nobody really needs marketing, or a
Yep.
computer could do that, or my 15-year-old nephew can do
Mm.
that. And you wonder why there's all these bloopers and mistakes? And so the other problem, going back to support tickets, is a lot of times sales isn't what you mentioned, that hooked into IT.
Yep.
So the marketing people, good marketing people in tech love the IT people because
Of course
IT
I do.
people are the source of truth. Like if it's a plugin, right? Or if it's a
Yep.
SaaS, we can ask the IT people who built this thing, what problems does this solve? And they'll be like, la, 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 la.
Yep.
And we're like, yes, I can translate that into copywriting, right? And the
Yep.
salespeople will be like, oh yeah, we could definitely do that. You're like, shut the F up. It
Yep.
does
Yep.
not do that. And then the people come back, they buy it, and they're like super disappointed. And we're like, why did you tell them it does that? I'm like, doesn't it do that? No, it doesn't do that, Brad.
Yeah. But the other problem too is to go around this whole thing.
I don't know anybody named Brad, just for the record. It
That's
was just
okay.
the person we called at TJ Maxx when somebody would leave their coffee cup from Starbucks. You just set it down somewhere. And the first time, like a bunch of group of us saw it, the person's name was Brad. So every time we saw a Starbucks cup that was left for 2 or 3 days, we thought, nice going, Brad.
I get that. That's funny. Um, I'm going to do something I don't do often on the show, but I'm going to call it a situation we're talking about. Um, I think part of the problem is our clients don't believe in marketing, or they're so old school they don't realize that trends have changed and they change. So I have this client who runs a dog site, soon to be a non-client. He'll hate me for this, but that's okay. I'm good with that. And he's so old school that he thinks all he's got to do is do a couple Facebook posts and people will come to his website and buy. And I keep saying, well, there's a couple of problems here. Number one, your website offer isn't compelling enough to make me buy, so you need to fix that, but he doesn't want to. Number two, maybe you should spend some money and get some PPC ads and do some stuff and improve your reach. And he's like, no, 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 no. This should work. This should work. The point I'm making is marketing, even on our clients' things, is like the least on the bottom. It's like, let's build that fancy website. Let's do this. Let's do that. And really, when you think about it, your website is a form of marketing. And in most companies, the website is under the IT department. It really should be lumped in with the marketing department when you think about it, right?
Literally, the only reason to have a website is for marketing. Marketing
Yes.
is communications.
Mhm.
If people that don't understand that don't understand what marketing is. And
Yep.
this is the problem. It's not like maybe in 2007 when nobody was using Facebook, you could just do a couple posts and people would look at it. But now it's so full of ads. Like even my friends don't see my own posts until I'm like, oh, this is me and a kissy boyfriend. And then they're
Yep.
like, oh, I didn't even know you guys were paying attention. But Facebook was showing them that picture for
Yep.
sure. Right.
Yep.
But my book, crickets. Kissing a person you can't really even tell who he is.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know.
mystery. Bridget has a boyfriend. That's because sometimes the platform is more like yellow journalism that way,
Yep.
sensationalism, right?
Yep. Yep.
So the thing is, marketing is communications, and communications is how you build relationships. And you
Mhm.
have to have that. To my soul, I will die on this hill. You have to build the relationships with people, and you do that by communicating. And I mean two ways, not one way, not ads, not radio, not TV. It's, or if you do have radio or TV ads, if somebody calls you, you pick up the damn phone,
Mhm.
right? So
Yep.
you have to build that relationship. And that's why referrals work, right, Rob? So
Yep.
if like somebody's saying, well, I need somebody to run PPC ads, for example. Everybody and their mom runs PPC ads and marketing, right? There's 100 people that can do it, probably that we could buy, rattle off the top of our head. But I have a relationship with Warren Lane Nida.
Yep.
So, of course, I'm going to refer to him. So that's the thing. It's like, even if it's a second degree relationship, or like how
Mhm.
people meet in dating, it's a friend of a friend or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always that. That's why those in-person networkings are so important. And that's why when I came back on your show, refer to replies the power move.
Yep.
That's when people are always complaining online, whatever, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, the big four. Oh, I don't see this, I don't see that, because you're not even interacting with other people's content. So you're
Mhm.
not going to build a relationship. So I don't even know who you are. So
Yeah.
like if you don't even reply to a tweet of somebody else's, why would I don't know if you I don't care about you. And that's the big part of marketing, is that it's about psychology, because it's about relationships, because it's about communicating. And you can't
Mhm.
unbreak the relationship between those words, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so
true.
as a marketer who's been working in tech and construction, so in engineering fields since I don't even know, I was in trucking like 30
Yep.
something years, whatever it is, since, I'll be 52 this year. I've been
Mhm.
working since I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
I want to prevent problems from happening. And when it comes to customer support, we should also have that mindset. And the great thing is, like when I tell people what they should write about on their blog, I'm like, what are people constantly asking you? If they're always asking you how to set up a DNS properly, then write about it on your blog. Now, a lot of plugins and SaaS companies WordPress hosts that use WordPress
Hmm.
have knowledge bases that are, I'm just going to say paywall because you have to be a customer to access it,
Yep,
right?
that's fair.
So that's not really as accessible. Like for me, I'm a Rocket customer, and if I'm looking up how to do what da da da, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I have to log in. I have to log in and then look at their
Yep, of
customer database.
course you do.
Uh, and then normally, like, I'll just answer, I'll just, it's not normally there, to be honest. Like, not everybody really, almost no companies invest in their knowledge base.
Very little.
Okay. Very few companies on this planet. Uh, I'm not just talking about WordPress, like in general, their knowledge bases are very limited.
Or the
So,
search, or the information's there and the search capabilities are limited, which means the knowledge base might as well be limited because if I can't find what I want quickly, what's the point? I'm just going to go to a support chat and be done with it.
right. So, like, even from a customer service perspective, when I was doing customer service for N101.com, they're a nitric oxide company, and we had to go ask Dr. Nathan Bryan for the answer. That went
Yep.
in my living Google Doc. We didn't use Help Scout, so it didn't matter. Like I didn't need that. So I just had a living Google Doc and I just kept building up those answers. And I would just search my Google Doc and then be like, oh, here's the answer. But every time I had a new thing, I would say that. I'm like, we should put this on the website. We should put this on the website.
Yeah.
We should put this on the
But
website.
part of
That
the
wasn't
reason,
my
part,
purview, though, you know?
yeah, part of the reason companies don't do that, to be fair, is they don't give their staff the time to invest in it. So we used to have this ongoing issue in our call center in healthcare. And people would have great ideas to go in the knowledge base, but here's the problem. They're being measured under things like how many calls did they take today? How many calls did they close today? How many calls did they do stuff today? And when those are their measurements, Goldberg used to have a theory that you work towards your measurements. So why would I invest the time as an employee putting stuff into a knowledge base if I'm actually going to get penalized? And really, I'm doing my job, but what benefit is that to me in the long run?
Right. And that's the problem is that we are trying to measure productivity by
Mhm.
arbitrary
Yes.
data points.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, this is true for marketing.
Hmm.
Like, Rand Fish, I call him Rand Fish because that's his Twitter handle, but Rand Fishkin from Spark Toro,
Yep.
formerly Moz, always talks about like, you guys are like so, keen on impressions, but brand searches are huge. And then then you're like, oh, well, this doesn't matter. And they're like, oh, AI doesn't matter, but it's still like, so many points higher the number of Google searches. Like there,
It's true.
people just like it's like they went to one SEO class 10 years ago,
Yep.
and then that's how they're determining that. To me, that it's not about productivity. I would be like, I would alter that. So anyway, so let me finish the story and I'll tell you. So what we did was I was just a gap in between the person who was there until they were building
Yep.
this offshore team, right? This
Yep.
this customer service team. So it was a priority, and it was my idea to do this, of course. So I'm like, let's build this. And then finally, when the new people were coming, I trained them how to look and add these answers because ultimately that does make your job faster as a customer service person because you
Mhm.
have these canned answers
Yeah.
because you already have saved the data. So
Yep.
as if
Agree.
you do, it's like washing the dishes as you're serving Thanksgiving.
Agree. Agree.
If you're constantly doing it and it's part of your regular maintenance, if you want to add metrics and say, you know, um, add X amount of answers per week, but maybe there aren't that many answers, right? You just don't know, right?
And frankly,
So,
if you're doing the same thing over and over, you should find a way to can it or automate it or do something simple shortcut because it becomes a repetitive task and you got to
oh,
find a way
exactly.
to streamline.
I exactly. I know that Help Scout does that,
Yep.
and they did that at Give WP, and we did it at the farm. And so it just depends on what,
Hmm.
actual piece of software you're using. I
Of
know a
course.
lot of times the knowledge bases or documentation, which to be honest with you, I'll never forget this. When I first started in WordPress, building WordPress sites and testing plugins and stuff in 2013, I had no idea what documentation was.
Yeah, of
I
course.
was looking for a different word. Can you guess what word I was looking for?
What? No, no.
Instructions.
Oh, okay, same thing.
Everything else on the face of this planet uses the term instructions.
Yeah.
Okay? So I didn't even know documentation was a thing. I go to
Mm.
IKEA, I get a piece of furniture, there's a paper in there that tells me what to do. They're called instructions, not documentation. Anyway, that's like a hill I'm going to die on. Another hill, many hills. So like back to the preventative support, right? So there's all these bonuses of collecting these repetitive answers. And the first is if you publish this as a blog post, even if it's 300 or 400 words, you're going to prevent support tickets. And
Mhm.
that reduces the burden on the support team so that they can handle the more sales. Even if you use AI in your chatbot, you're now feeding your own library that the AI responds to by having those tickets out there.
Correct.
Because people will Google things. They'll Google, like, why did I get a spike in Google Analytics? Oh, that's called referral spam. Well, how do I stop referral spam? Well, this is like a real thing I had to look up. I
Yep.
don't know. I didn't even know it was a thing. Like I knew there was something weird. I go, oh, am I getting a DDoS? They're like, it's just referral spam. I go, what do I do? And they said, put this in Roblox text. I'm like, oh, okay. So to me, that's like, how many times have you been asked that question?
Yep.
If it's more than three, it should be a blog post
I
because
actually
then
I actually
people
take
can
questions.
Google it.
Yeah, I actually take snippets of stuff. If I've looked something up a couple times, even internally, I'll add that right to my note taking software, just so I have with a reference, and then I don't have to go look it up. I know where to go find it real quickly. Because I mean, the reality of it all is there's so much out there that even you or I have been doing this for a long time. Can't remember where everything is. I mean, that's
Well,
just
right. So I wish I could remember his name, but I met him in 2017 at WordCamp Paris. It's a Dutch company from the Netherlands, and he is a freaking genius, marketing genius. I tried to implement this everywhere else. I've suggested it 100 times. What he does is he takes his support tickets in the language that the customer used,
hmm
which is not usually technical, but that's going to be how they're going to search on the internet, right?
yep.
And then answered the question in the support ticket. Then he had that like automatically posted as a blog post. The question, the answer,
Oh, great
as
idea.
a blog post. It's not written like for copywriting, but it's there. And so you're building your own public facing FAQ, which as a bonus is super great for SEO. Always has been. Google always liked FAQ. It's always been a place to answer
Mm.
questions. And now with AI overviews, that should be even more of an impetus to to have those questions and answers out there so
Yep.
that your answer will show up. Like even on this green link site that I'm working on, he invented a baseboard for chain link fences.
Mm.
And his so basically you can weed whack right against it, just like how a baseboard protects your wall when you vacuum
Yep.
or sweep or whatever. So it's all patented and everything. Very cool feature. But like when you search, how do I weed against a chain link fence?
Yep.
You're getting like forums from like 10 years ago, Reddit from like 17 years ago, because people aren't talking about it. So that's part of
Of
our plan. We're going to answer those questions as part of the content marketing strategy, right?
course we are. Yep.
But so like having those support tickets as fuel for your marketing team and educating your sales team, this is the unification of any product or SaaS company.
Mhm.
To have the same language and use the same communication is so important to eliminating and preventing customer frustration when they try to do X, Y, and Z. Like, you know, I'm I'm not usually a bad mouther. Well, at least not publicly. I mean, everybody says
Yeah.
fuck this, fuck that in their house, right? But Rob, like WP forms, are you kidding me? I can't see my form entries with the light version.
I know.
I can't see my form
This
entries on a
yeah,
form.
Yeah.
In the light version,
I have to tell
my
you,
form entries are a key core part. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna that I don't like the plugin, but I was just trying to see are these valid coming in? Because the light version of Brevo, which we use on another site, I can see all my form entries because
yeah,
it's a freaking CRM. What is wrong with you guys? Nickel and diming your users
because they all do. Like I find that so much.
for
Because
form
they're not.
entries? So I
I know.
end up CCing myself on any emails that come in through the site so that I can see those goddamn form entries because it pisses me off. Like this is like people trying, this is the like epitome of marketing and sales
Yeah,
because it goes to the guy who's supposed to sell this thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
I'm the marketer who set this form up, and IT is basically saying, IT being this form company, saying, no, you don't get this data until you pay $200 for the
yeah,
pro version.
yeah.
And I'm like, but see, that's the thing. It's like there's always this guarding between IT sales and
Constant,
marketing of their
constant.
silos instead of cooperating
Yep,
and letting the whole company be successful.
yep.
And as this applies to your freelancer audience,
Yeah, it
right?
does. It does.
It totally applies because sometimes you're that one person. You're like, well, I can't scale because I don't do sales or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
why
you
don't you
gotta learn.
outsource sales for commission? Like, there's some guy that's super good at sales. Go and outsource it. Like, go have him sell the websites.
As I've always said, if you're not good at doing something, find somebody to do it for you. It's easy peasy.
You don't want to do your own booking? Go to collective.com and let them set up everything.
Yep,
You don't want to do copywriting? Hire a writer like
yep.
that cares about you and your business,
You don't
and
want to
then stop
produce your
gate.
you don't want to produce your own podcast. Find somebody to produce it for you. And
Right.
yeah,
I mean, there's so many people who specialize in these various marketing fields
yep,
that
yep,
there's help available to you. You
yep.
know, like, to me, I feel like it's an unnecessary roadblock to a successful, awesome WordPress
I I
plugin,
I
SaaS
agree.
service.
I agree with you, and I'm gonna tell the book that I think I've talked to you about. I certainly have touted on the show probably 10 or 20 or 30 times. A book called The Inside Advantage by Robert Boom. Go read it because what he says is don't spend the time on the stuff that doesn't make you money or you're not good at or your roadblocks, and find somebody to help you with that stuff. It's the same reason why small business owners, I've been on this air lately, and it's not really a marketing thing, but to give you an idea, um, you need a WordPress security expert in your back pocket, even if you DIY your website now. You just cannot do it. Right? Yeah, people argue and say, but that's what you do, Rob. That's self-fulfilling a little bit. But the reality is, somebody who's a DIY business owner is not going to know what to look for, whereas I know what to look for. I mean, so like the point is you're making is valid is stop cutting yourself short and go hire the experts you need, and that will help your business scale instead of trying to do it all yourself.
Yeah, and just speaking on that same topic, so there's a lot of people who write documentation because that's a total specialty.
Yep, of course.
And I mean, if you're already collecting those answers, you're collecting those answers because you answered those questions in
Yes.
the email, whatever it is, support ticket, customer email, whatever it is. I'm just saying support ticket, right?
No,
So anytime you get that support ticket come in, you're answering it. You're not ignoring that question. So why not repurpose that, right?
I agree.
So just repurpose that so it's out there. I know some people, and this goes back to my roofing days, and I know people are like this too in WordPress. They're like, well, I don't want all my answers out there because then somebody else will steal it. Okay, but
Here we
that
go
is
again.
but that is not how it works because at the very beginning of this episode, and we've talked about this a lot, people do business with the people they know, like, and trust. And having that experience, that expertise, that authoritativeness, and that trustworthiness is something that Google likes also. And
Yep.
so, as you develop yourself as a subject matter expert in security, for example, then people
Mhm.
are going to be drawn to you, and Google is going to be drawn to you.
Yeah,
It's like, do you want to
100%, Bridget.
answer do you want to answer like a hundred stupid ass questions? Like you go on Twitter and you're like, it's client shaming all day long. Like this guy doesn't know what his DNS is. Well, of course he doesn't. Like that, he doesn't even know what a
But
DNS
but
is. I
I
didn't know
but
what a DNS was till I had a website.
what I would suggest to you, would anybody who's in the field, is take half an hour a week, not a day, a week. Start answer 3 or 4 questions. You will be surprised how quick your network will grow, and how quick you'll be considered a go-to subject matter expert. And it makes a difference. And I've taken on clients where all I've done is answered questions for them. That's all.
Yep.
It
Yep.
happens every day. Problem is, there's so much, I don't like to use the word fake, but people trying to game the system out there who really don't know the answers. And that's a problem. And the best way to show you know the answers is answer the questions. I'll give you an example. I have 2 good friends of mine, Phil and Robin, who own a jewelry store in Pickering on there. And very often people walk in the store and they're not ready to buy. And they'll start asking questions. And Robin will very often sit there and answer all their questions. 9 out of 10 times when they're ready, A, they'll come back. But
Yeah.
B, if they want the information on the internet, they can get it anywhere. So why not try and build that relationship and then go from there? And to me, that's more important than holding back. And people say, well, if you hold back, I've got all the keys to the kingdom. Ha ha. So they got to come to me. Well, guess what, folks? It doesn't work that way anymore.
You can't
People,
scale. I
no.
mean, essentially with the litigation that's happening in WordPress, that's what's happening.
Oh,
You
God,
know,
yeah.
I'm just saying this is a problem. So
Yep.
if you're this, you could be the source of truth and be open about it, or you could be the source of truth and be closed about it. This
Yep.
is essentially the difference between open and closed source software, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Like
Mhm.
really just keeping it like
I agree.
nitty gritty, right? So the thing is that the more that you become that trusted resource, the more people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to keep buying this. And with plugin companies and annual contracts with people who develop websites and perform security services or backups and whatnot,
Yeah.
you want your customer to stay with you
Yeah, you do.
because it costs 40% more to get a new customer than to keep the one you have.
You really do. And this is something, by the way, and I want to go down this rabbit hole. Now, I know it's not what we started out talking, but it's worthwhile conversation. It's something that the telecoms industry, the Comcast, the Sprint, the AT&Ts in Canada, the Rogers and the Bell, haven't gotten through their thick heads, is why not offer your current customers a deal to stay with you instead of going after new customers all the time? Your CPA, cost of acquisition, would go way down, and you would be better off in the long run. I've got one. I was doing some political work on the weekend, and I was talking to one of the comms directors at one of the political writing associations, and they've been a customer of mine since 2012. Can you believe that? And we're at 2025. So we've got that relationship. She knows, first of all, it's easier to maintain them because I know what they do in their sleep. I know their business model in their sleep. I know how the communications director works on the sleep. I know what I can say and what I can't say. I know what I can bill and I can't bill. And I know what to do and not to do. And I know, and when the comms director did to me on Saturday and said, we're 90% of the way there, but I need you to hold this piece off till Tuesday, nothing major. And I'm sorry. I pick up phone and I call her and I say, hey, Marilyn, it's okay because we have that relationship. And then she turns to me and says, oh, can you do an extra thing for me? Oh, no problem. I don't care about 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. But the point is, you get to figure out, and it's so easy. And with these guys, they come to me and say this, and I'll come to them and say that. And I put in a lot of time this weekend. They got billed a lot of time, and they didn't even flinch over it because that relationship is there. But when you get a new customer, he looks at even things like billing and he says, well, why didn't it take so many hours? Because it's a time consuming job.
Yeah.
Moving websites around is not a 5-minute job, folks. And but that's why the CPA to keep an existing customer is easier because then you learn each other. You think after 13 years we don't know how each other work and how we do things and how I'm going to react and how we're going to do it. I know, I can get on the phone and say to you, hey, I can't even look at this for 3 days if it's not critical. And she'll say to me, okay. But I also know if she comes to me and says, hey, critical, I need it now. She's not the type to play cry wolf. So I know I got
Right.
to jump on it. I know what's important and what not. And that just streamlines it all. Folks, work on your relationships. Start not jumping all over the map because you can't, because it's not worth it for $50. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And like, that grow or die mentality of
Yep.
just
Yep.
counting on users
Yep.
is very produces a toxic culture. I mean, all you have to do is look at Uber's movie. It's called like
I've
Grow or
seen it.
Die or
I
some
know
shit.
the
I
one
don't
you mean.
know.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is, so with a lot of WordPress companies that build websites,
Yep.
they don't even keep them for a year. Like they don't even like the website I got, I'm like, no, we're going to start blogging and then we're going to add in social media and then we're going to do YouTube. Like, I'm going to keep you. We're going to keep this
Yeah.
going. We're going to
Yeah.
we're going to sell some shit, right? Like to
Yeah.
me that's why you have the website
But
so that
part
you
of
could keep publishing content on it. Like remember Rob when we all talked about WordPress was to democratize
yeah.
publishing,
Yeah.
not published. Not
Yeah.
published,
So
publishing.
what I'll tell you is back in the day,
I
so
can't take it anymore.
you can't take it today, can you? Yeah.
I'm like, you guys, the website is for the blog. I will die on that hill.
Yeah. What I wanna say though is it's funny because and things have changed. And we all know that. And marketing has changed. Going back to the original discussion, we got to change how we do things. And we got to start now. I mean, I'm going to tell you now, for example, PPC ads have gotten way more expensive because the Fortune 500s are running PPC ads. So the old adage where a small business owner could get away with $5 or $10 a week, I don't think that's there anymore, personally. Some people will argue with me, but I don't think it's there. I think it's changed greatly because the Fortune 500s have endless budgets that they're throwing in all that stuff. The
Well, and they
same way.
don't care because it's a marketing expense. And the
Yep.
more you spend, the less gross profit you have, the less net profit you have, I mean,
Yep.
which reduces your tax liability.
Yep.
And they have the money to throw at that
Yep.
because their goal is different. Their goal is to reduce their tax
I
liability.
know. I know. I know. Anyway, that this is a rabbit hole we can go down all
No, but it's
day.
all together though. That's the
Yeah,
whole
I
thing is when
agree.
you think of it as a whole picture, it's just like, let's just sum it up. If you keep getting that same question,
Yep.
just publish it as a blog post. It doesn't have to be fancy. Here's the question, here's the answer. It's technically a blog post. I wouldn't categorize it
Or
necessarily as
or even
copywriting,
better, don't
but you're
necessarily.
publishing it.
Can I stop you there for a sec? Or if it's a how-to, take 5 minutes, grab a package like Nido, which is free, by the way, and better than Loom, and then turn around and do a how-to video and publish the
Okay,
video.
same
And
difference.
yeah,
Yes,
I know that,
exactly. And
but the
then put
point I'm
that
making,
video in a blog post because the internet
exactly,
is blind. So the
exactly.
words are what matters. The
Yep,
words, and
yep.
especially in the AI answer area, feeding ChatGPT or Claude or whoever, or Gemini or whoever is your AI large language model you're using is coming off of words, and the words have to come from the people,
And
and the
by the way,
people that are doing it well are going to win.
of
And you could
course, yeah.
share those posts on social media. Like
And
share those posts on social media.
yeah, and by the way, AI does search videos and does search podcasts.
Yeah.
I did an experiment Friday night. So I was out with my partner for coffee after a session we had, And I said to Tiz, I had already done it, so I cheated and said, let's take your name and throw it into Gemini and see what comes up. And she's, shall we say, on she's on like Instagram and a little bit of Facebook, but she's not really out there on the web the way you and I are. If you threw
Well,
my
that's
name
not
in
her
or your name in,
business.
it's not her
Yeah.
business. She's the admin assistant and receptionist for a large insurance broker. So I threw her name in. And where did it come out? It
Every
went in
time
it
you thank her at the end of a podcast
at
for the
every time I thank
inspiration.
her and inspiration. And one of the Gemini comments was, this person has an enduring relationship with Rob Cairns, and it referred right to the podcast. And there
Well,
were a
right,
couple
because you
others.
have transcripts.
I
You
do.
edit those transcripts. This is the key part of that.
Yes, it is.
It's words. It's still words.
But it's still repurposing content, and people have
Oh,
to
oh,
realize.
100%. That's the whole point of this whole episode. You already answered the question.
Yeah,
Just put it on the internet.
and just for reference, if anybody wants to see that, if you jump on over to my personal blog at robcairns.xyz, there's actually the post of what Gemini pulled out when I put Tiz's name
Oh,
in.
that's so
I
sweet.
I actually
Ah!
posted it there. So if you want to go over there, take a look. It's
I'm
there.
going right after this episode. That's so
Yeah,
cute.
I'm sure you are. But the point is it's it's just what's out there, and AI, as you know, is changing the way we market and changing the way we do stuff and changing the way we function a little bit. And I think for the better if it's used properly. If it's not used properly, it's like any other stupid tool. Good
Garbage in,
luck.
garbage out. I
You
think
got
it's
it.
just reinforcing the need for questions being answered. That's what people are doing. They've always been asking questions,
Yeah. Hey,
even on
Bridget.
background check.
Yeah. Hey, Bridget, as always, this is an amazing conversation, and how you and I end up going down 50 million rabbit holes as usual.
And coming back to the main point, because
Yep,
it's all together. The whole
it's all,
conversation is together. If you made it this
it's all,
far,
it's all
bonus
together.
points.
If somebody wants to find you, the best way, I believe, is BridgetWillard.com these
Yep.
days. Is that kind of,
BridgetWillard.com.
and,
Bridget M. Willard on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of them.
and go
Just
buy
type my
some of
name in.
go buy some of Bridget and Warren's book
Warren's
for me too,
books.
would
Yeah.
you? Yeah, love these guys. Their books are amazing, and I've had the pleasure of being featured in one, so I've got them
Aw.
all. I've got them all, and you guys are really special. So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Thanks
Bye.
again. Bye. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Bridget Willard for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.